So check the WhatsApp group, you see the two links there, and then you can access all the documents for this program for machine learning aspect, and then also I've also sent the follow-up. Yeah. So that we also
Okay. Right. So if you were successful in opening Colab, your AI is down here. It's the blue circle with the star. Now, if you're using VS Code, it's possible to use VS Code as well. But it's a little bit more complicated. So let me go to the file. And go there. So you can use VS Code, but when you want assistance from AI, you will have to open your browser and use the AI assistance on your browser. The way you can do that is go to Chrome and then type in Gemini. So if you use VS Code, you can go to Gemini. Here, let me leave this here. Sorry. Move this. And then that's right. So that would just be something like this. I just type in Gemini. Actually, it's gemini.google.com. So you can use Gemini. And then if you have coding questions, you can ask Gemini to help you with your code. So I can do it both ways. We will have to see which one works best for the workshop. If we do continue to have connection problems, we can do this way with VS Code. But let me start for now with Google Colab. So the first thing you do want to do when you work with a notebook is to save a copy. You want to keep the original in case something goes wrong with the copy. Okay, so please, everyone, if you have a notebook open, please go to File and then make a copy. Here it says Save a copy in Drive. So this way, again, this will preserve the original copy. Now you notice that the name has changed. Now it says copy of session 01. Now I think it's a good idea to change the name. Just put your name here. So for instance, I can call mine Thrawn session 01. Please don't call yours Thrawn session 01 unless your name is Thrawn. So now I can make changes. I can do anything I want, and I keep my original file. All right. So how many people have used Jupyter Notebook? How many people have not used Jupyter Notebook? Jupyter Notebook, yeah. This is a Jupyter Notebook. It's very useful for coding because it includes very nice format text together with your code. So you can have your code and the explanation together. It's a very good way, especially for beginning coding. Right? So so you see the blue border here. This blue border indicates that this is a cell. And this cell contains text. Now, if you click twice in this cell, just click twice, and it will change. This is the editing window on the left, and this is the final formatted window on the right. So if I want to make changes to my cell, I just go to the left, click in the left, and for instance, and the changes will be made in the cell. Okay. So this is a basic operation with Google Colab, well, I'm sorry, with Jupyter Notebook cells. Right? If I want to add the date, I can say August 2. Right? Now, another very important command that you should know is, let's just put it down here. Control Z. Control Z is your friend. If you make a mistake, you just type Control Z. You understand Control Z? Your computer has a control button down on the lower left. Control and press Z. If I do that, it will undo my changes. Right? So I keep pressing Control Z, it will undo my changes. Okay. So try, make a change and undo. Right? Make a change and undo. Right. Let me explain a little bit what this syntax shows. You can see that this text is the same as this text, but this text is large. The reason it's large is because of the hash. Single hash is large text. Triple hash is subheading. You can see also the 2 stars. 2 stars means bold. So you can see this is how you can create text that is formatted. Right? Now, if I type close, if I press close, it will go back to my cell. Okay. Now let's go on to the next cell. Right, the next cell is down here. Here it says, what you will do in this notebook. I could click on this cell here. And this is an outline of the different things we will be doing. Let's go down more. Oops, sorry. Okay. Now, how to use this notebook. This is another very key command, Shift plus Enter. Hold down the Shift and press Enter. What that does is it will take you from the current cell to the next cell. Now, I first need to click inside the cell. If I click inside the cell, you can see the blue border. If I now type Shift and Enter, hold down Shift and press Enter, it will go to the next cell. Okay. So this is how you can go through the notebook one by one. You do need to go through the notebook one by one. If you start in the middle, then you will have problems, because if you start in the middle, then the computer does not know what happened before. So you do need to go for one by one. Okay. So here are some different shortcuts for Google Colab. Whoops, sorry. Let me go down. And go down a little bit more. Now, this is for using AI into Google Colab. This blue button with a diamond is your AI. And it can help you with your code. As I mentioned, if you use VS Code, you will have to copy and paste your code into Gemini, and then Gemini can help you. But you can learn coding from Gemini AI. You can ask Gemini AI to explain the code for you. You can ask it to fix the code. You can ask it to write code. So it's a very rapid way of learning to use code. Okay. So let's go down. All right, now, so far, we have only been seeing text cells. These text cells are for humans to read. The computer does not read these cells. This is text for you to read. This cell here is called a code cell. In this cell, the computer will respond and execute the cell. Let me close this for a moment so you can see. Here's the cell here. Now, whenever you run a cell, you should try to understand what it's doing. First thing you can notice is that the different text is different colors. The green text is a comment. This is for you to read, not the computer. And you can see that in code cells, the comment begins with a hash. In text cells, the comment, the hash makes the text larger. But in code cells, the hash shows that it's a comment. You can see this violet writing. This is a command. This brown writing is also a command. It's telling the computer to do something. Here it's telling the computer to import. Here it's telling the computer to print. Now, what does import mean? The language that we're using, that the computer understands, is Python. But Python has several libraries that include special functions. If you want to use these special functions, you need to import the libraries. Epidemiology. You go to the library and you pick out a book on epidemiology. So this is like telling Python, bring me the book on NumPy. Right. Now, since I'm in Google Colab, that's one reason that it's good to start with Google Colab. So you can see there are several libraries here. Sys, which is systems, then NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and sklearn. So we will be explaining these different libraries in this notebook. So if I run this, there are two ways to run this cell. I can click on this arrow here, that will run. Or I can, so I did it. Or I can press Shift and Enter. It looks like I agreed already. The fact that you can see the border is moving, and that means the cell is executing. All right, and it's finished. You can notice also up here on the top right, the RAM and the disk. This is the RAM that you have in the cloud. This is not RAM in your computer. This is RAM in the cloud. So Google is giving you 12 gigabytes. And it's giving you 200, it's giving me 200 gigabytes of disk. Okay. So let me run it again. This time I'll press Shift Enter. And at the bottom of the cell, it's printing the messages. It tells me my Python version. It tells me Colab is ready. It tells me all my libraries are successful. Now, as I mentioned, if you run this with VS Code, you may have some issues with the libraries. So I'm happy to get with you and help you overcome those problems. Okay. Maybe I just take a quick tour and see where everybody is, because it's good for us to make sure that people are with me at the beginning. So I'm just going to make a quick tour and see what's going on. Okay, turn off the light. Okay. Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. Yes. Right. So if you're having trouble with the installation, please raise your hand, and some people will come around. So who is helping with who is helping?
If you're having a problem, please signify. Please hello. It comes that team members you have been on use of Python before. You can come around and log and all that advanced.
Yeah. Yes, it's also good if you help your neighbor.
Just raise your hand.
Yes.
You can't hear me, right? Okay. Right. If you're having a problem running the code, please just raise your hand up. If we come and locate you and then you come to our whiteboard.
Okay.
All right. So maybe we just like even if why they put out who are for them. All right, if we have the hand over the place, let's look around and get this to help you. Okay, so including our online participants, if you're having any problem, you can unmute and at any point in time ask questions. Because this is hands-on, you ought to be getting along with the training. So we don't wait till the end of it before we start asking questions. So if you have a problem with running any part of the code, just signify. Somebody comes to you and fix it up for you. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, that's good. And please help each other.
So we would like to maintain the program too. So let's do it not making noise so that we can have a smooth running as sessions. Just all you need is for you to just raise your hand. Somebody comes to you.
Good.
There's a hand over there. Joshua, please, that's a hand. Please, can you help that person? So that only Prof will not be doing all the running.
Okay. Right. That's very good. It's good to have a team.
Is there's a hand over there? Any other person with who needs help? Have we all gotten the needed help? If you see need help, can you signify? I want to know how many people need to be attended to. Okay, fine, Prof.
Right, good. So let me continue. So because of time, I will be going through this quickly, but please at your home, go back through to make sure you understand thoroughly. Okay. This first cell introduces variables. Variable means that the computer uses a word to signify something. For instance, this here, Nigeria DHS 2018. This is a string. It's a phrase, a string of characters. If I use name in my code, then Python understands that name means this string. And children is 42,000. If I use n children in my code, Python understands that means 42,000. Rate is rural equals true. This is called a Boolean variable. Boolean variables can be true or false. So whenever I put is rural in my code, Python will understand the value of this variable is true. So you see down here these print statements. When I run this code, then the code will print these different things. And pay attention to what the Python code actually prints. If you scroll down, you can see, oh, it's this way, right? See what it actually prints. It printed dataset Nigeria DHS 2018. Why did it print Nigeria DHS 2018? Because it knows that name means this string. Okay. And children, that means 42,000. Mortality rate, that means 7.2%, and rural survey means true. So variables are the basic building blocks of Python code. Any quantity in Python is signified by a variable. Now the string children surveyed was an integer number, underdefined mortality rate was a floating point number, rural survey was a Boolean. So we can check the type here. If I execute this code, it asks for the type, and you can see the different types. str means string. Oops, sorry. str means string, and int means integer. Float means floating point with a decimal point. Right? Now, so far we've only looked at single variables. Sometimes we want to have a list of items. Certainly when we have data, we will have lists of data. So Python has the capability to form lists. Also, Python has the capability of forming dictionaries. What is a dictionary? Dictionary is a word, and you can look up a value based on the word. So you give Python the word, and it will look up, right? So if you look at what a list is, it has this syntax. You can see here the square brackets. The square brackets means that this is a list. In this case, it's a list of strings. It's a list of names of countries. And the name of this list is countries. So whenever I put the word countries in my code, Python understands that that is countries. Now, suppose I want to extract one element list. Suppose I want to extract the first one. You can see that right here. First country. Countries, square, what do you call this? Do you call this bracket? People call this different. I think it's bracket. Square bracket, okay. Countries, square bracket, 0. 0 means that this is the first entry. You need to remember that in Python, Python starts counting from 0. Doesn't start counting from 1. You have a list or an array, the first entry is going to have the index 0. Countries of -1 is the last entry. If you put a minus number, that means you're counting from the end. Right? So this one says first 2 countries, :2. The colon means everything up to index 2. So what is this going to give me? It's going to give me the entry with index 0 and the entry with index 1. It will not give me the entry with index 2. The colon means up to and not including. So you tell me, when I run this code, it will print first country. What will it print then? It will print Nigeria, because it's the first one in this list. How about the second one here, last country, Tanzania? And then first 2, it should Nigeria and Kenya. I can give some other examples. Suppose I change this to countries. Let me change this to countries of -3. What will it? Kenya. Should be Kenya, right? 3 from the end. Suppose I change this to 1:3. What will that do? Yes, 1 means it starts with the entry with index 1. So we'll start with Kenya. So we'll do Kenya. So this is index 1, index 2. It will not include Tanzania. It will only include Kenya and Ghana because it does not include index 3, only up to 3. Okay, so let's verify, make sure that that's correct. Okay, Kenya and Ghana. Okay. Now another thing I can do is I can do something like this. Okay, there are some, I don't have time to do all of the different options, but what this means is I start from 0, I go to the end, and I skip every 2. So I start at 0, I go to the end, I skip every 2. So that would mean Nigeria, Ghana, finished. Okay. If I have a number here, that means I skip. Okay. Nigeria, Ghana. So one thing you do need to get familiar with is how to index arrays. This is very useful for selecting and for arranging. I should say lists. These are lists. So let's go on to the next one. Now, dictionary is very similar, but instead of having a let me see. Instead of having a number as an index, it uses a word as an index. Right. So you see the different syntax here. Mortality rates is a dictionary. It has 4 entries, and the labels of these entries are the words themselves. Okay. So mortality rates, square brackets, Nigeria will be the mortality rate for Nigeria. And if I want to list the countries, these are called the keys. These are the keys, these are the values. If I want to list all the keys, then I do list mortality rate dot keys. So if I do that, you can see it prints the Nigeria mortality rate, and then here it will list all of the keys. Okay. Now, in concept here is iterating. Iterating means doing again and again. Typically, when you iterate, you use something called a for loop. Okay. This is a for loop here. So this for loop means I will do this command again and again. Okay. So here it says for country in mortality rates dot items. What that means is that the first time it does it, it will take the first entry of country and the first rate. The second time it does it, it will take the second entry in country, second rate, and so on. You can see also there's an indent here. everything inside the indent will be repeated in this iteration. So this iteration will do this print for all the items in mortality rates. So if we see the result, it's printing all of the dictionary items with their mortality rates. Now, I'm going through this very quick. If there's a code you don't understand, just go to your AI and say, explain this code to me. And it will tell you step by step what it's doing. Now, you probably will want to make it bigger like this, but you can see that AI can really help you do things one by one. It can be your tutor. So I hope you can take advantage. Now, if you're using VS Code, you can do the same thing. Take this code here. I can just type Control A. Control plus A will select this code. Control C will copy. I go to my Gemini here and I say, explain this code to me. And Gemini will help you. In fact, it's the same Gemini. It's just more convenient inside of Google Colab. Right? What am I doing here? This is the wrong place. Okay, that's good. All right, so let me continue. All right, so now I'm going to close this one. So one aspect of Python code is functions. If you have a very, very long code, usually different parts of the code have different tasks to do. So maybe this task will do printing, maybe this task will do formatting, maybe this task will do processing. You want to break your code up into small pieces. Modern codes may have 10,000 lines. You don't want 10,000 lines altogether. You want to break it into small pieces so that you can manage. One way to break code into small pieces is to use functions. Now, function is just like a function in mathematics. A function takes an input and it produces an output. In Python, the function may take several inputs and it may produce several outputs. So, the function, you can use the same function on different input data. So this just makes functions very, very powerful. So here's an example of a function. This function here is designed to classify mortality rates. Now, you know that mortality rates can be low or high, and sometimes researchers will categorize mortality rates. They'll say a low mortality rate is below 3%. A medium mortality rate is below 6%. High mortality rate is above 6%. So what this function does is it will take a mortality rate input and produce the classification as an output. And again, anytime you have trouble, you can raise your hand. So please, I hope you will execute the cells with me as we're going along. And please also do make some modifications. If you have some experience with Python, try some different things. You learn by trying. Right. So we have this function, classify mortality rate. Before I run it, I want to understand what it's doing. First of all, it says def. Def means that this is the definition of the function. And you can see also the space in front. The space in front of these lines indicates that these lines are in the definition. The function definition is specified by these lines. Now, the code below is not indented, so this code is not in the function. This is outside of the function, right? So what is the code doing? It takes this input rate, and then here is a string. This string here is going to tell me what the code does. It says returns a risk category given a mortality rate. Here we have if, elif, and else. This is called a control statement. The if statement, elif, tells the computer to do different tasks depending on the value of the variable. Just like English. It's telling me if the value of rate is less than 0.03, then I will return low risk. If the value of rate is less than 0.6, then it will return moderate risk. Otherwise, it will return high risk. Okay, so there are three possible outputs: low risk, moderate risk, high risk. And you need to input a number between zero. Right. So here's some. So here it's what it's doing here is it's calling the function for the different countries that we already listed. We already have mortality rates for different countries. So if I run this code, it prints the Nigeria 7.2%, and then it prints the category. Automatically prints the category. Right. Now, I'll show you that this function really can be improved. If I want to add a code cell, I can press this button here, and this will create a new code cell. Now, suppose I want to classify a different mortality rate. So let's say, I'll just call this bad rates. Yes. Yes, you told me. Yes.
So want to know, thus far, any challenge? Are you having any challenge in following? So what? Okay.
I think you can raise your hand at any time.
What was the challenge? Okay, so some people are they don't understand a few things. So this is supposed to be hands-on, right? So at each point in time, you have a question, you don't understand something, like I told you, just put up your hands. One of the things we are trying to do is to maximize the time and be sure that there are people to aid your learning. And no problem. So there are people to aid your learning around. So just put your hands. So somebody will come to you and help you. Except it's a general question that you want to direct to Prof. But if it's just for you to follow what Prof is doing, understand basically the screen, don't worry, just put up your hand and then somebody will come to you and help you. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. For this, we mentioned that this is our problem for the meantime. So we may not be able to use this one. So that's why we said if you have your own internet, you can join online, or you just move towards this side to see, because there are seats over there, empty seats.
Yeah, lots of seats here.
Many empty seats are over there. So you can sit down over there, and then by tomorrow by God's all of this will be sorted. So we should have all of this working by tomorrow. But however, if you are not able to join or to come to this place, you have your own internet, you can join the online, you can join the Zoom link that has been sent to the platform so that you are able to follow directly from your device closely to you. So I think those are different options we can make use of, just so that we can all enjoy the flow. Okay, so Prof, thank you. So if you are in need of something, you need to understand something, you are not getting something, just signify. That's why I've been standing looking around in case there's somebody who needs something. I'll just mobilize somebody to help you. All right, thank you.
I would also like to ask the helpers, if you find there is a general question that many people have, let me know and I can stop. So I just wanted to try something. Maybe you can try with me. Now we know that a mortality rate has to be between 0 and 1. You cannot have a mortality rate that's less than 0 or a mortality bigger than 1. So my question is this really a good function? What happens if I put in a mortality rate that's negative? Or what happens if I put in a mortality rate that's bigger than 1? So how do I find out what the function will do when I enter these numbers? Well, I can just do print and then say classify mortality rate. Okay. Now see, do you see the something? I started typing and then it jumped. So what happened? The AI guessed what I want to type. And in fact, the AI was right. That's exactly what I want to do. I want to classify the mortality rate for the first entry in bad rates. Since I do accept what the AI is telling me, I will press the tab button. So let me emphasize that here. Okay. To accept AI suggestion for coding, press tab. You know the tab button on your computer. It's on the left. So let's see. It was stop, but classify. Okay. All right. So I do want to do this. So I press tab. Okay. And then it also guessed that I want to print the second one. So I'll press tab again. All right. Now, all right. So I'm not sure why I put and there. I don't want to do anything else. I'm just going to close it. Right. So if I run this, what do you think will happen? Do you think it will give me an error? What do you think will happen when I run this? Okay, let's see what happens. All right, now it said minus 0.03 was a low risk. Now, why is that? Because my code didn't check if the risk was less than 0. It only said if the code is, if the rate is less than 0.03, you call it low risk. For 1.05, it said high risk because it didn't check if the rate was more than 1. Right. So this function is not very good. So what do? I go to AI. Okay. So I go to AI, I click here, I go to my suggestion here, and I say, so I want this function to return an error if the rate is less than 0, greater than 1. Okay. So you can see that AI changes everything. This is how you can learn to code. Now, just to do the AI suggestion, I just click here. And hopefully it's thinking. I don't know if it's thinking or not. All right, now look, this is what happened. The green shows the changes that AI suggested. So AI told me I should add this line, import this, and then add another if statement. Okay. And this if statement looks very reasonable. It's saying that if rate is not between 0 and 1, it says raise value error. Okay. So this looks very reasonable. So I'm going to go ahead and accept and run. Right, let's see what it gave me. So I close my AI, I see what it gave me. So this is fine. Now what happens when I run the next code? Okay. You see, it's working now, right? So AI can really help you modify your code very quickly and very easily. But you need to understand the changes you want it to make. So let's go on to the next slide. All right. Let me skip this one. This is just another way of listing entries in a. So here's an exercise. Again, because of the time, I think I have only like 40 minutes, 20 minutes, right? So, yeah, I only have, sorry, 10 minutes? Okay, 5 minutes then. Okay, all right. So if it's just 5 minutes, let me go very quickly. Yes, okay, okay. Well, no, I won't. I'll ask you to do this at home. I think I showed you enough to be able to do this. Ask AI to help you do this. Let me just introduce the latter part of the tutorial so that you can also try this at home. I mentioned that the different libraries have different functions. NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and scikit-learn. Now, in this tutorial, there's an example of each library. So you can go home and do the exercise for each one of these libraries. It's a good chance for you. You're smart. I think you can do this. So let's pass. So NumPy, so in each one of these libraries, we illustrate one technique. Okay. In NumPy, the technique is called Boolean indexing. I'm selecting certain elements from a list. Now, when we use lists in NumPy, we don't call them lists, we call them arrays. So you can read this tutorial to tell you how arrays are used for intelligent selection of entries from a list. So again, I'll pass by here. You can see here some lists here. And in this code, we can select from the children array those children that have ages between that have weights less than 11 kilograms. Right. All right. NumPy also works much faster on large arrays. Right. So here's an exercise also. You can ask AI to help you. The lists that are in the tutorial use kilograms and months. So you can use AI to help you change the units to years and grams. Now, if you know Python, you can do this by hand, but you can also ask AI to do this. Now, I'll give you a hint. One way to do this is just take this description, copy it, go to the cell you want changed. Let's see, where is it? Here. And then start my AI, and then I'll ask it, I'll just paste it in here. Okay, so, whoops, what happened? So I'll say, create a function. It's not showing very well. Great, okay. Okay, and then I just let AI run. AI will generate the code, and then I can accept and run. If it's not correct, I can ask AI to correct. Right. So I hope you can see this procedure. Very easy procedure. And if you're using VS Code, you just copy paste into your VS Code and then paste the code back again. So there's one for So there's one for NumPy. There's one for There's one for pandas. Pandas handles data frames. Who has used R? All right, so R uses data frames. Python uses data frames with pandas. Pandas attempts to duplicate the functions of R. So you can do many things with data: merge, join, filter, group, handle missing data, reshape, pivot. All of these are data operations that you can do with pandas. So I'll just go through this. Here's an exercise for you to do. Matplotlib is a library for create interactive, and you can create animations. All these things you can do with Matplotlib. You can create 3D plots. You can customize your plots. So here's some examples of plots you can do with Matplotlib. So you can see bar chart, you can see scatter plot, okay, and you can see the very nice formatting, title and axes. And you can read the code and understand how it does this. Scikit-learn is the basic library for machine learning. So I think I will go back over this again tomorrow. There are different types of machine learning models. One type is called tree-based, and one type is called regression-based. And this tutorial covers both. So here we will create a tree-based model, and the part is introducing machine learning. Since I think my time is gone, let me until next time. But what I hope you can do at home, do the exercise in part 2. Familiarize yourself with how to do basic Python programming and take advantage of AI.